afternoon, and we're going to call our this public hearing to order. Purpose is to seek comment, input from the public relative to activities of the City of Bluefield and Region 1. From Region 1, we have Jason Roberts and Jeff Johnson here to speak upon that. I'll briefly turn it over to Josh to give a quick overview, and then turn it over to Region 1.
Each year we partner with Region 1 Planning and Development Council to work on a small cities block grant to put forth. This year, in conjunction with their stormwater department and Mr. Steve Duffy, we're looking at a stormwater project, and Region 1 is kind enough to lend us their expertise and help, and we're very thankful for their partnership and the resource that's in the area. So with that, if you all would like to take it from there and share a little bit about the project, Steve and Jason. Anything that we need to answer for the public, we'll move into a public comment after this.
Well, I'm Jason Roberts with Region 1 Planning and Development Council, and the only thing I'm going to do is just remind...
Why don't you stand up at the podium for the camera?
Okay. I'm Jason Roberts with Region 1 Planning and Development Council, and all I'm going to do is make sure everybody signs a sign-in sheet. And I'm going to turn over the public comment period to Jeff Johnson. He's our Community Development Director, and he's going to work with Steve, and we're working with Shay. She's been helping on this project, but she couldn't make it. She's at another meeting, so Jeff and I came out, and I'm just tagging along with Jeff. But basically, this is just a formality we have to go through for the public comment period. This is the first of 2 required public meetings for the HUD Small Cities application process. So I'll turn that over to Jeff and Steve, and Steve's got some maps, I think, if anybody has questions.
I'm Jeff Johnson, Region 1. And as Jason said, it is required by state statute that we have a public input meeting when you're going to apply for a small cities block grant. And what I know, I can try to answer programmatic questions. I don't know about the cost yet or what exactly they're going to do on Union Street. So with that said, we'll open it to the public and let any questions or comments arise.
We'll let Steve make
Steve can give a little more details
presentation on what the...
I'm Steve Duffy. I'm on the Bluefield Sanitary Board. I'm representing the Stormwater Board. What we're dealing with is there's been a recognition of some issues with stormwater on Union Street. In doing that, we've had Thrasher go in and assess the watershed. They've determined that we're pretty dramatically undersized in the box culvert that runs down Union Street. There's also issues with our stormwater pond at the head end of the holler. So what we're doing is looking for grant funding to help us correct some of those issues. And we're going to start with re-examining the controls on the detention pond and making sure that we have control of the flow coming out of that region, and then we'll expand that into the box culvert and getting increased capacity down the street. So the initial intent is to look at it, the grant for $500 to $750,000 for this work. We're in the process with Thrasher's assistance in determining exactly what the design would be and how far that funding would go. So we may have to develop a phased plan or otherwise deal with like the pond this year and some of the box culverts in future years. But we just want to be as aggressive as we can to get in there and get the repairs completed. That's the gist of the project.
Let me real quick make a couple comments just to bring it up at the strategic level. So the city owns the stormwater infrastructure. That's not owned by the sanitary board. It's not a utility that owns that. The city owns the stormwater infrastructure. And as you can see, this is Union Street is the worst first, if you will, in areas that, as Steve is our stormwater representative, that tells us where to get after and fix things, and it's very expensive. And so this opportunity of these small block grants allows us to use other people's monies instead of putting that burden on the residents and taxpayers. We have an opportunity here to get federal and state fundings, if you will, to pay for infrastructure corrections. So this is a good news piece, and this is required by state law for us to get after those monies.
If I may, these are HUD programs that we apply for regularly, year after year for most of our communities. And you have to qualify them based on one of three criteria. One is elimination of slums and blights, two being elimination of an imminent health threat, or three, benefit to low to moderate income. And by talking to you, Dane and Steve, I believe that we can should be able to qualify it based on the income parameters. We will look at census data. If not, we can maybe go out and do some income survey work. But one of the reasons we don't have, hard figures yet is because Steve and Thrasher are still working on finalizing the design. And even though it may not get funded this year, we wanted, with your all's guidance, I think we wanted to go ahead and get this in the hopper to where it will be maybe rise to the top next year or the year after. So all they can do is say no. So we're going to apply, and it's not going to cost you all anything for us to apply. It's not going to cost anything to do the work as far as we're concerned. So like I said, this is just a formality, and we will have a second public meeting. It's not been scheduled yet, I don't think, but I do ask that everybody sign the sign-in sheet. And if you have any questions about the programmatic side, you can talk to me or Jeff or Shay when she's out here for other meetings, or Steve.
I don't believe we had anyone sign in for public comment at this time.
Is there any public comment? Questions, Art?
One question, Mayor. Generally speaking, there's an amount available for these loans every year, and we ask for a portion of the total pool of loans available.
Shay told me that it would be 1.5 million would be the total pool. That's what she said.
That's the application cap.
That's the application.
Actually, no, it's not. The different levels for small cities block grants, for water or sewer, $1.5 million. For economic development that includes job creation is $1,250,000. For non-water and sewer projects like this, it's $500,000. So the max this application could be would be $500,000. And then you can do a planning project for $100,000.
Did you say for non-water sewer?
Non-water sewer infrastructure projects. So this would be storm drain.
Okay.
With that, you can also do sidewalks. I mean, they haven't given a small cities block grant for other than water and sewer since Bluefield got the last demolition grant. Oh, that was probably about 8 years ago.
And that's why we're focusing it on this area. The worst that they're going to say is no. The best that's going to happen is we're going to have $500,000 to get after our infrastructure.
And our terracotta pipe.
That's right.
Is there some reason that stormwater doesn't qualify as water?
Well, they put an emphasis on water and sewer, which they think is of the most basic infrastructure you can have. Stormwater is very important, but that and demolition, which is very important, and the sidewalks or a plethora of other projects, they still limit it to 500,000, and they want you to, they don't mind you to ask for that, but if it's a larger project than that, they would like you to get funding to complement it.
Any other comments?
Steve, the upgrades on Union Street, if I remember correctly, are they going to extend from Union Street out over into Bland or towards College?
Not at this time. I mean, the funding wouldn't be there to go further than that at this point in time.
If I'm not mistaken, there's stormwater coming down Bland and from Union, and they get together somewhere behind in the neighborhood of the old Goody Coons. So if you're going to increase that flow,
We're not going to increase it. It all gets there now. The difference is we're going to have control of it. It'll be in a box culvert or in a pipe. It'll be controlled by the pond. We'll be able to reduce some of the flow coming down Union Street with the use of the pond. But, I mean, all of it gets there now. It's just how it gets there. Right now it comes down, through the properties and on the surface. So.
okay.
Any other comments, questions? Do we need a motion to close the meeting, or
Move to adjourn.
have a motion to adjourn? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. Good afternoon. It's great to see such a full house, and we'll start the proceedings. Our Vice Mayor will have our prayer and pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we bow, we say thank you. Thank you for this day, and thank you for what's yet to come. Dear Heavenly Father, be with us in this meeting, that we would have open minds and do what is right for Bluefield. These and all of the blessings we ask, say amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order, and our first order of business is the approval of the minutes for the March 24th meeting. Was a regular board meeting.
Move we approve.
I have a motion to approve the March 24th board minutes as presented. Any further discussion? If there are no objections, hearing none, those minutes are approved. March 31st was our town hall meeting, and the next item is to approve the minutes for that.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the March 31st town hall meeting.
Have a motion to approve the March 31st town hall meeting minutes. Any further discussion? If there are no objections, hearing none, those minutes are approved. We have a couple of presentations today, and the first one is our Chief of Police, Dennis Dillo, who has some promotions and new hires.
Good afternoon. Good to see everybody out today, especially with it being so rainy. I've got a couple announcements I'd like to make, a couple acknowledgments. I've got a new hire. I'd like to hire that one. So it looks like maybe in about 20 years. I've got a new hire, a gentleman that joined the Bluefield Police Department March 30th of this year. Aaron Burnick, would you come up? Aaron is going to go through our process of being sworn in today.
Do you, Aaron Burnett, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the state of West Virginia, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Bluefield, and that you will discharge your duties as a police officer to the best of your skill and judgment, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations, Aaron.
Do we want to get a picture?
You want to do them all at once?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, that's great.
All right, the Bluefield Police Department recently went through some promotional exams, and I would like to recognize some of the men that has took another step forward in their careers in the police department. First, I would like to recognize Mike McPherson. He was promoted from the rank of sergeant to the rank of lieutenant, and Mike has been with us since August of 1996. Congratulations, Mike. Next, I would like to congratulate Aaron Crook. Aaron Crook was a corporal with the Bluefield Police Department, and he was promoted to the rank of sergeant. And Aaron has been with us since February of 2008. Next, I would like to recognize Bobby Ham. He was a corporal with the Bluefield Police Department and has been promoted to the rank of sergeant. and Bobby has been with us since August of 2002. And the next gentleman I'd like to recognize is James Vance. James has not only have I had the honor of working with, like I have all of these guys all these years, he has been with us since July of since 1998. But not only has he been with us since '98, he is also a lifelong friend of mine. We grew up together, and I would like to congratulate him. He was a corporal and has now been promoted to the rank of sergeant. I think the confidence that I have in this crew to be my ship commanders when I'm not here is at the highest level.
Back a little bit, these board members, if you want to come on around, put you up behind them. You can go ahead and hop in.
I really feel safe today, Chief.
Ellen, I'll put you right here beside Aaron.
Whenever we're doing anything controversy, I want to do promotions and new hires.
If y'all, you want to
Board members want to go behind?
Yes. Then Ellen.
Are you coming?
Yeah.
I gotta get by the short people.
Go ahead and if you'll hop actually up on the next row and then stand in between them.
Hop on the next row.
Next, there you go, right there. Perfect.
Make you
All
talk.
right. Good, Mike, we'll put you in. All right. Mike, slide on.
Make me look.
There we go.
Make me look.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna take a few. 1, 2, 3. All right, family, if you would like to take a photo, come on up.
Hold on.
Gina will want to see that on Facebook this afternoon.
Hey. It'll be on there before lunch is over, baby.
My wife will send me a message before I get downstairs.
You want to see it on the front page of the paper, Charles, that one.
All right, very good. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Yes, indeed.
No, I think everybody can hear us. Yeah, there's two other people I would like to recognize today. They're not policemen, and it's kind of personal to me. Those of you that know me personally knew that, or know me family-wise, I have a lot of brothers in the police department, but I have a family that my parents divorced at a very young age. God blessed me 35 years ago to run across a family. As you heard me say, Officer Vance, we grew up together. But his mom and dad is in the here today. They're very close and dear to my heart. I would not be where I'm at today if it had not been for you guys. You played a major, major role in where I'm at today. Thank you.
I would just add, I don't believe our police department's ever been in better hands than with Chief Dillo. He's served the city in numerous ways as our interim city manager and just has done a great job. I commend Dennis and his entire staff. And I'm sure I speak for all the board members when I say that. So great job and a great group of promotions there, well deserved. The next item is a presentation by Charles Riddle-Huber. Is that right? Riddle-Huber, sorry.
Riddle-Huber.
Hey, before Charles starts off, this is, I think, going to be the public's first opportunity to to really hear and see what our Parks and Recreation Department is doing. We stole Charles from Tazewell County YMCA, and he brings with him the background and education that is exactly what this city needs at the master's level in Parks and Recreation Management, if not also exercise science and programs, wellness. He's got a phenomenal team down there, and a couple of his team members are here today. If you've been down the Parks and Recreation area lately, I think you have already seen very substantial changes that are happening. And I wanted Charles to come up and brag a little bit about what we're doing and what we're getting after and what the future looks like. So we're really excited to have Charles on our team, and we're going to show you today some of the great things that the city's doing. Charles.
So, do I need the mic?
Yes.
Okay. So here I'm with Brandon McCain and Sean Martin, and we're three of us will make a presentation. This is basically, I've been here 3 months, about today, actually. So this is, I remember when I sat in on that first town hall meeting and Dane gave his 6-month review. I guess it's kind of like a 3-month review here. And so we're just going to talk about some of the things we've been working on in the department. When I first came on board, we sat down with the staff team. We have a very small staff team, but I sat down with the staff team and we did what was called a SWOT analysis. And we just sat down with Sean and Brandon and some of the other folks, and we said, you know, what are some of our strengths, weaknesses, what are our opportunities, and what are our threats? And we looked at programs, looked at staff, we looked at facilities, and we're just going to highlight some of the three. So when you look at Parks and Recreation, you look at City Park and you think, wow, this is. Now, I've been to a lot of different places, been in a lot of different parks, and I think City Park is phenomenal. It's just a great place. And not only that, we have numerous other parks laid out around the city. East River Mountain, it's a beautiful place. So we thought one of our strengths was our parks. Our existing programs. Sean's done a great job growing basketball and running football and a number of other things. We have great existing programs that have a strong reputation. Staff experience. So if you look at my leadership styles, is strength-based leadership. So I don't want everybody that has my same background. I want a staff team that's very diverse in their skill set. So Strong has his strengths. I have mine. Brandon has his. Other staff have their strengths. So we have a very diverse staff with different skill set. Our weaknesses. When we looked around and we looked at our weaknesses, to be honest, I walked in. I'd never been in the facility there. Just the condition of the facilities. If you look at Mitchell Stadium, looked at a lot of the parks, the playgrounds weren't finished. We looked at that as a weakness. We are a small staff team. That's kind of right now that's a weakness. The maybe kind of community perception. We thought of that as a weakness. And then we looked at our opportunities, unlimited. I thought, when I sat down with Dane, I thought, the sky's the limit and what we can do. So program growth is opportunity. Staff growth. We can all grow as staff members in our career in Parks and Recreation. And there's a great, with Bluefield State College, Bluefield College, the hospital, Community Wellness Center, all these other organizations, we have great opportunities to collaborate. We looked at our threats. Again, we saw that as condition of the facilities, condition of the parks, and kind of resistance to change. I've heard, Dane said a lot of times, your answer can't be, this is the way we've always done it. And I've heard that. I've heard a lot of different stories in history of things. So there you go. So moving forward, I want to thank Junior Biggs. He's not here, but the maintenance guys, they have been getting after it. They have been working hard. Those guys are finishing the parks. They have been vandalized bathrooms in city parks. Those guys have been doing the down and dirty work. And they don't always get recognized. So I want to thank those guys. The condition of Mitchell Stadium, we got a long punch list that we're working on. So I want to recognize those guys and the work they're doing. So moving forward. All right. So Sean Martin's going to talk about when I first came on board, we did a SWOT analysis, and then what we did was we put together a program plan, and we have a program calendar, and this is like our business plan for the year. So Sean's going to talk about, so we came up with a program calendar, and then we came up with something called the Get Outside series that we're launching this year. Sean's going to talk about our existing programs and new programs this year, and he's going to turn it over to Brandon.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
I really appreciate the opportunity to come forward and talk with you guys today about a few of the things we have working on and some of the things that we've done in the last. And for me, I really feel like the old guy on the board, even though I'm one of the younger staff individuals in the city, but I really feel like the old guy on the board because I've been here for a period of almost 3 years. And Charles has been here for 3 months. Brandon's been with Parks and Recreation for a period of about 3 months. So I really feel like the old guy on staff. So I'm kind of going to give you a perspective of some of our programs from the time that I started, which was a period of almost 3 years ago, and kind of where we're at now, and then we're going to look to go forward in the future. Youth basketball has really been something that's really been a blessing to me. It really is. I played basketball my whole life. I'm a graduate of Bluefield State College. My former coach is actually sitting back there, Terry Brown. I'm a graduate of Bluefield State College. I mean, I'm a big kid. I've always played basketball my entire life. It's really been something that's really been a joy to me to be able to work with all the kids in this community. And 4 years ago, there was no youth basketball league. And in the time that I've been with Parks and Recreation, I've seen the program grow from 0 to this past season. We had 350 kids in the program, 39 teams and 350 kids. And something that's not been done is there in a long time. I mean, it's not just kids from Bluefield, West Virginia. We have kids from Tazewell. We have kids from Richlands. We have kids from Montcalm, Mount View. We have kids from Princeton. We have kids from all over come to be a part of our basketball league. So it's definitely something we're proud of, and it's something that's really been a joy to me. And it's not just me, it's been a collaborative effort. I'd really honestly like for the ladies of Bluefield State College to stand up. They didn't know I was going to give me kudos today, but I would really like for them to stand up for a second. Coach Oliver, I can't tell you how many days, how many weeks these ladies have been down at the gym with me with youth basketball. I mean, they've really been there in the trenches with me, just working hard. I mean, anything we ask those ladies to do, they're always there. Coach Oliver, his wife Shannon, they've really been a blessing to me in my time here. I really appreciate everything they've done for us. So that's definitely a partnership, a strong partnership that we have, something I definitely hope we continue forward in the future. Youth football, I've seen youth football grow in, as far as numbers and registration. And I say youth football and cheerleading is kind of the same group. When I first started, we had around 70 to 75 participants in youth football and youth cheerleading. Of course, the last 3 years, we've grown to around 150. So it's more than doubled in size. And it's definitely something we're proud of, something we can hope to continue to work on, and something we can see help to build on in the future. Little League Baseball, we have a strong collaboration with Bluefield Area Little League, which is our local neighborhood Little League baseball program. And it's something that I don't think was necessarily there 3 years prior. I'm actually a board member with Bluefield Area Little League, so I work with a lot of the coaches, a lot of the board members, a lot of staff, and it's really something that has really grown in the course of the last 3 years, and I hope we continue to grow that. Specialty camps, it's not really something that I think was really offered in the 3 or 4 years prior to over the course of the last couple of years. And we brought in a variety of specialty camps. A few of those include volleyball camp, cooking camp, basketball camp, art camp, tennis camp, swimming camp, outdoor adventures camp, youth football and cheerleading camp, pottery camp, as well as horseback riding camp. So we've had a variety of different specialty programs throughout the course of the last 2 years. I think it's been a very successful time period. As far as weaknesses, I would definitely have to say that what we're looking to do now is to extend more into the junior high age group. We've had a strong base as far as the youth. We're looking to extend more to the junior high age group as well as the adults. And so that's really kind of what we're looking at, going forward. If we're going to be offering more adult programs, we're going to extend the age groups as far as our youth programs to the junior high age group, and hopefully, continue to build strong bases there as well. We'll be starting adult basketball next week, so that'll be our first adult program we've offered in the course of the last 3 years. It'll kick off next week, and I'm definitely hoping that some of the ladies from Bluefield State will volunteer to come down and be a part of it. We're also going to be adding youth flag football. We're going to be adding adult flag football, adult volleyball, and a few of the specialty camps that we're going to be adding. We're going to have a specialty camp with baseball. We're going to have a fitness camp, which is a partnership with Greater Bluefield Community Center. We're going to have a competitive swim camp. We're going to have a challenger soccer camp, and we're also going to have a golf camp. So it's just a few of the newer camps that we're going to be adding to the ones, in addition to the ones that I've previously mentioned. We're also going to be having the Get Outside series, which Brandon will go into a little bit more detail here in just a second with you. And like I said before, I really, honestly, I'm not just here to kind of brag about what we're doing, but I'm also here to give thanks. Not only to Bluefield State College, but to Bluefield College, Mercer County Schools, in particular Bluefield High School, National County Schools, Greater Bluefield Community Center. Anything that we've asked from anyone, the community has definitely been there to step up and support us. And I certainly hope that's something to continue in years to come.
I'm Brandon. Started about 3 months ago, like what Sean was saying. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Get Outside series, but it's a series that encompasses 6 events throughout the year. And WVVA has been great, very gracious to help put together this event. They've actually given us $6,000 in-kind sponsorship, really with just us asking. So the 6 events are listed below. There's a SIDO event, which is a geocaching event. The mountain bike race, which has been here for several years, we picked up. Trail days, youth bathlon, Think Kid mountain biking race, and also the Holiday Lights 5K, which we're excited about. The next slide is just a promo video that WVVA put together for us. I thought you guys might be interested in taking a look at it. Well,
IT man.
well,
One job, Billy. What do you got?
I'll go to the Facebook page in a little bit and I'll show you that. But I also wanted to get into the website that we've started. We've done quite a bit of work to it, and also incorporated new software. We can register for events, programs, do facility rentals online. So pay for them online. It's easy to track, and so that'll be fun. You guys probably recognize this site. This is just the city Bluefield website. We just made it a little bit easier to navigate. This links to the Ridge Runner. We have a few announcements of upcoming events here and our hours of operation. And then if you go here to programs, this will take you to our new software. It's called RecDesk, but it looks similar to the city website. So I'm going to log in here real quick. I'm not going to take too much time. I've already made a membership for myself. Okay, so I'll go to programs, and let's say I have a kid that wants to do the youth flag football for this summer. So I'll go over here to register. It's me. I'll say, Johnny McCain. His jersey size. Save. So here, I'm not going to actually pay, but I'll show you what it looks like. Waivers. And then you can pay online with your credit card. So it's really nice and easy for programs. We also think it's really going to be nice for facility rentals for the shelters, because you guys, if you've been to the park, some of you know how crazy it is. I haven't been there that long, but from all the phone calls I get, you can imagine how crazy it gets. And so we'll go to Shelter 1 here, and it has a picture of the shelter and a little bit of information about it. And you can also reserve it. And so it'll have all the availability for that shelter, and you register for the same way as you would there. So we're excited about just going away from paper and doing a little bit more online stuff. I really encourage you guys to check out our website and see what else we've done to it. We'll go back to the PowerPoint here. Actually, let's see if here's the promo video. See if we can play it here. Take my technology.
It's that dial-up internet here we got here in the city.
Of course, it works like right before I come here.
They can find it, Brandon.
Well, they can always find it it's on our Facebook page if you'd like to. But, I'll hand it back to Charles for closing statements.
Brandon, that was good. If you go back to the previous slide, you'll see the reason. We just look at efficiency. So when I want to pull a report and I say, Sean, how many people registered for basketball? Sean, how many people have registered for football? Boom. Pull up a revenue report. I can see all the detailed information. We can send out an email, do all those types of things. One of the things that we want to do, though, one reason we want to track that is that I think historically, we don't typically turn away people for the inability to pay. But what I want to do is I want to go out and I want to raise scholarship dollars. So we're not just giving it away, but we go out and raise those dollars to pay for those registration forms. So moving forward, this is where I see us moving forward. One, implement the plan. We put together a plan with registration dates, fees, and all those things. I see us doing an after-school program starting in the fall. I've talked to Dane. I really see a need for employee health initiative. If you look around the staff and look around the folks in this region, you can definitely see the need there. I see us doing a community health initiative, partnering with the hospitals, partnering with the 2 colleges, partnering with the community center and other agencies. See us doing that in 2016. And then hopefully we'll see some new programs next year. And then again, I see us going out. I've heard so much about Herb Sims and the legend that he is. I see us going out and having like a Herb Sims scholarship fund or something like that, where we got to raise those dollars, we tell our story, talk about the impact we're making, and we'll get people to contribute to Parks and Rec. So kids who are participating in after-school programs, kids that are participating in our other programs, it's a sliding scale, so we're actually getting some funds to supplement that. Any questions? Sorry, it took longer than 5 minutes, but.
Let me close real quick. So what you're seeing another department inside the city that's embracing technology, that's allowing us to get online and get after things. I mean, just for the rental of the pavilions down at City Park, used to be you had to physically go down there, you had to find somebody, you had to see if that thing was available, and hopefully you had 5 or 6 different dates that you want to do your function down there because it was properly already rented. Now you can go online, you can see what dates are available, you can immediately reserve that, pay for it online, and it's done. So streamlining processes, standardizing policies, getting new programs, reaching out and partnering with other agencies. I got to commend the Parks and Rec guys. You guys are really getting after it and really excited about where we're going as a city. So thanks for the presentation.
Great job, impressive staff, and keep up the good work. And kind of piggyback off what Dane says, I think that we've really put some great people in the seats, so to speak. The city's really upgraded in so many areas, and that's a great example, so thank you. With the board's approval and pleasure, I'd like to deviate a little bit from our agenda and do the proclamation for Bluefield State College, which is one of our action items. So if there are no objections to that, I'd like to move that to the next item. Are you guys good with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that okay? We are honored today to have the women's Bluefield, the Lady Blues basketball team here today, and we have a proclamation from the city. And if we could get the team and the coaches to come forward, I'd like to read the proclamation, and we have copies for everybody as well. Proclamation saluting the Bluefield State College Lady Blues basketball team and coaches. 2015 Eastern Collegiate Athletic Conference champions. Whereas the Bluefield State College Lady Blues women's basketball team achieved an outstanding regular season with a 20-7 record. And whereas the Lady Blues won the Eastern College Athletic Conference postseason tournament semifinal game over Lemoyne College, advancing to the ECAC final round. And whereas the Lady Blues won the ECAC Division II Women's Basketball Championship by defeating Lincoln University 72-70 in overtime in a thrilling championship game. And whereas the Lady Blues have achieved the distinction of being the ECAC Division II Women's Basketball Champions for the second consecutive year. And whereas the Lady Blues defeated NCAA Division I opponent North Carolina Central University for the second straight season. And whereas the Lady Blues have distinguished themselves as outstanding ambassadors for Bluefield State College on the court, in the classroom, and in the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Bluefield, West Virginia Board of Directors enthusiastically congratulates each member of the Bluefield State College women's basketball team, Coach Oliver and Assistant Coach White, on their superior accomplishments, and extends sincere wishes to all for continued success. Adopted by the City of Bluefield, West Virginia Board of Directors on this 14th day of April 2015. Congratulations, ladies.
I'm going to get you all to slide into the middle, and I'm going to let the board come behind you. Coach, if you'll be on, yeah, I was going to say, but if you all will look in, if I can get you over here, we'll let you all look in. Just, yeah, slide on up and in behind. Ellen, let's put you on this side, on the turtle, that way we can see your face. I don't want to lose you. Perfect. One more.
I'm gonna get you.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Are we missing Barbara? Oh, Barbara. There you are. Let's slide on over, Chuck. Yeah. There you go. Perfect. All right. If I can see everybody's faces, we'll be good to go. All right. Slide that just a bit. There we go. All right. Step in, Gary. All right. You ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Jen.
If they'll come back, we have a copy for everybody.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Excuse me, girl.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations. Very much. Good. Okay, now that Mike's here, we can really start the meeting. Thank you all for deviating briefly from the agenda there. And our next item is our city manager has some citywide updates.
Okay, I'd first like to start with one of the things that's been on we've tabled it on several occasions, and we've waiting for the outbrief on is we've got David Hatley here today from Parker's Breakerhoff that was the firm that was responsible for the Roundhouse Square intermodal project, and I'd like to have David come up and give a quick presentation, if you could, on just the final outbrief, if you could, that be presented to the board today.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Mayor, Board of Director, members, staff, Bluefield residents. We're happy today to finalize the development project, the recommendations, the engineering drawings for Roundhouse Square down on the avenue in the area where now the interpretive plaza is with the historical signs. This project began with a master plan undertaken by the City of Bluefield. Following that, a grant was received to permit the city to do engineering and environmental documents for the project. That has been done over the last approximately 2 years. The city has reviewed the documents as the project has developed, and recently our firm, in coordination with our partners, presented the final documents to the City of Bluefield. The project has been done in accordance with the federal guidelines that made the grant available. The project, I understand now, is ready to be closed out. At the municipal level, there is a summary document here that's available to the board members and the public, and the implementation strategy, should the board choose to go forward, will be something that you all can consider at the both policy level and the staff level going forward. It's been a pleasure to work on your behalf. We think it has the opportunity to really continue the dynamic work that is occurring in the downtown that is very, very exciting to see. And on behalf of the firm I represent, Parsons Brinkerhoff, thank you for the opportunity to be of service to Bluefield, and we stand ready to help you as you move forward to implement whatever you determine is in the best interest of the city in that part of downtown.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just wanted to make a comment. David has been a great guidance in this process too, with the time period where we were all new there for a while. It was nice to have some continuity and some history in some of the decisions that were made and what we were doing. And so just on behalf of the city administration, thank you for your guidance in the process.
Thank
It's
you.
been helpful.
City might see if anybody has any questions.
Any questions from the audience, citizens? Okay. Thank you again.
Great thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And we'll make these available. We also have the master plans themselves, and we'll talk more in the future about where we're going to go with the project. I'm going to run through quite a few things here, so I'm going to move a little bit quickly. First off, I want to say thank you very much to Ms. Barbara Smith and the Mount Zion Baptist Church for hosting the last town hall meeting. It was a great opportunity for us to brief the Martin Luther King Bridge construction project, which, as you can see, and those of you that have been in the area have seen that they're already starting all of the moving of utilities and such, and we're excited for that to really get going here in June when it closes down. So, but thank you very much. Huge kudos to the Public Works, a lot of the staff members on the city staff, and in particular John Schott, who actually came out and participated in the Overlook cleanup. Pretty amazing amount of trash that we pulled out of the Overlook. 13 tons of trash, and that does not include the 8 to 10 tons of street sweeping that we did from 460 all the way up to the Overlook. We pulled more tires. I think it's a sport here in West Virginia, I'm finding out, to roll tires off the Overlook. And there's still more down there, but we pulled more trash off of that. And what I understand is Mark Meacham had taken 75 Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts there the year prior. So it's, I think if you haven't been to the Overlook recently, you need to go up and take a look at it, what it does look like. And we're only going to improve that place. It's now on the normal rotation schedule. The plan for the city is one more day of us to sort of carve out that we're going to take city employees up there and get after restaining the buildings that are up there, doing a little bit more landscaping that needs to be done, some signage, and hopefully in the future, part of our comprehensive plan, we'd like to see some sort of development go on up there I personally would like to see a zip line done up there, but, you know, it would be high adventure. So, but anyway, kudos for that piece in there.
I'd like to comment, sir, that we did have a few volunteers, and perhaps we could have more volunteers the next time.
That's true. Yeah, we had 2 board members up there, both Barbara and Ellen were up there.
The women, you know, not the men.
And unfortunately, we were light on the volunteers. We only had 4 volunteers that weren't city employees or board members. And but anyway, part of Mercer cleanup, there's a lot more areas that we're going to get after. I will tell you that last week was the week that we did the disposal of tires. And the last count I received were 3 semi-truckloads of used tires went out of here, and that wasn't the final tally. And now, if you want to drop off tires, it's at the Princeton City Garage is where that is. And of course, Clean Sweep is we're in full swing on Clean Sweep on that, and getting after it. A couple of updates here real quick. Pole barn that the city board approved. We're about 3 weeks out from 3 weeks, possibly 4 weeks if the weather, depending on the weather, before that begins to be constructed. Our loader that the city board approved has been constructed. They actually build these things after you order them, and now we're waiting for delivery on that piece. A couple of visible construction projects you're seeing here, especially here on Cumberland or on Princeton Avenue, is the O'Reilly's going in, and you can see kudos to the sanitation board for learning from past mistakes when Janpac went in. They've been completely integrated in the construction process to make sure that stormwater is taken care of. But there's going to be a new O'Reilly's store that's going in. And then down at City Park, we're finally correcting in time for the Mountain Festival. You'll see some trench work that's going in there. There was a safety issue down there that our guys jumped all over and are fixing the electrical boxes and such that are down there for that. Very happy, Billy Hester back here. I was giving him some grief here a couple minutes ago about the internet connectivity. The good piece with that is we've entered into an agreement with Lumos, who will be providing fiber optic to the city, staff, which is part of our telephone system that the board approved. And the so what behind that is we're going to go from 16 megabytes of capacity up to 50 megabytes of capacity. It's costing us less. We're getting better service. We're getting a heck of a lot faster. And I think that what you will see as residents is you'll see a new phone system that when you call in, there'll be an automated attendant that allows you to get to the person that you need to get to. And it's also going to make the city employees a heck of a lot more efficient because we're operating off of a system that's archaic. So anyway, kudos to Billy and all that he's doing on that piece. A couple of things that I need to bring up with the board. We do a little sausage making here. The attorney, the city treasurer, myself, and Josh, as well as Billy in his last role, you instructed the staff to look at, and this was part of the budget process and some of the earlier issues, business license, building permits, and city fees. And we have spent now probably over the last 5 months on a weekly basis, the 4 or 5 of us, some pretty long hours of getting the picture of from a financial standpoint, process standpoint, and sort of some way ahead. And we are now ready to propose ordinances to the board with the permission of the board to look at city fees. I'll start with that first, and a little bit of background on this. City fees have not been adjusted in this city for quite some time. And it was very apparent as we were going through the budget process how long it had been back. Matter of fact, we don't have financial records for some of the fees that we haven't gone back to. There is a deficit in the fees that are paid for essential services, and I'm focusing on 3 areas: garbage, street, and fire. Currently, the fees that are currently being collected for those three areas are not, the fees collected are not substantial to cover the costs of having a fire department, the cost of picking up the trash, or are not covering the cost to fix the streets. And let me give you a couple figures here. So, and where we're getting that money from to make up those costs, the fees aren't covering. We are pulling from B&O revenue, which means that we're not doing things with the B&O revenue for infrastructure, capital improvements. Capital improvements being, that's why you see garbage trucks that don't have bumpers on them. That's why you see streets that haven't been paved except once every 82 years. A fire engine that hasn't been replaced in the last 6 years. We're taking that's where those fees, what we're not doing because the fees aren't covering. So in the garbage, we are covering down on a shortage of close to $327,000 a year. For the fire department, we're covering down on a shortage of $925,000 a year. And for street paving, over $23,000 a year. And so based upon your board members, the treasurer, your city attorney, and obviously myself as the manager, we are recommending that we adjust city fees to cover some of the shortfalls. We're not asking, we don't think that it is fair to put that entire burden on the citizens for those essential services, but we definitely need to make up a shortfall. Currently, just to give you an idea, a current citizen is paying, a current citizen household, and that's based upon, where it gets interesting with the formula is in the fire fees, because it's all based upon square footage. So we used as a median of a person that had a 2,000 square foot home, and just as an example, a citizen pays in total, so street, fire, and garbage, pays a total of $28 a month per household. Those figures that I just rattled off to you, in order to make up those fees, we would have to double what a citizen pays on a monthly basis. Our recommendation is not to double that. Our recommendation is to come to you with an ordinance that does a couple of things. One, we think that the right level is $15 extra a month that will cover that. And what that gives you are several things. What you would do with that, with those finances, are pave more roads, fix sidewalks, purchase new garbage trucks, put that money towards new fire engines. These are the things that you would do with that additional revenue that we're not doing. And I think after watching what we just did with this winter, you can see that our capital improvements need to be fixed. If you were here earlier for the 11:30 public hearing, stormwater is a huge issue from an infrastructure standpoint that we're not getting after. On top of that, we also think that the timing is right, that it is to change our processes. We looked very hard at our processes. We are billing quarterly, and we put out a mind mixer question, and the response back from the public is not to bill quarterly. It really put a burden on those with fixed incomes, that they wouldn't save to pay those quarterly fees. They preferred a monthly billings cycle. So our recommendation is to, at the same time of rolling out these adjusted fees, roll out a monthly billing cycle versus a quarterly billing cycle. And then we looked at making it so that we could do things online. And we are now ready to, we will be ready to, on the 1st of July, our new fiscal year, roll out online payments, use of credit card, debit card, checking account, and you physically being able to pay city fees online. So we think it'll make it easier for the public as well. Not a popular subject that people don't want to talk about with city fees. We think we have a very accurate picture now of what our revenue streams are, what our way ahead looks like, and if we're going to get after these infrastructure and capital improvement type of issues, we've got to adjust fees. Now, two very important things, and I'll open it up for board comments. We are not looking at adjusting fees on businesses. We have done that in the past. Right now, businesses are carrying the burden of essential services for the citizens. And we're very appreciative of what businesses do for us. But they're making up that deficit. That's where that money's coming from now. So when a resident comes and says, "Well, I'm paying city fees," well, actually, you're only paying half, because the businesses are paying the other half of those city fees that are covering for those essential services. People, while it's not popular that you have city fees that are increased, we haven't adjusted them for quite a few years, in excess of 5 years. It costs more to have a fire department. It costs more to pave roads, and our equipment is in horrible shape. And we need to get after those capital improvements. And so this is our proposal, and what I'm looking for is permission to bring forth ordinances in the next couple of meetings, which require 2 ordinance readings, a public hearing in one of those, so that we can get the processes in place to take effect on 1 July. And I'll hold there before I go into business licenses for any comments from the board.
This increase, is it going to be 2-year plan or 1 year?
That's an option. That is very much an option. So our recommendation is $15 a month per household. And now it fluctuates. If someone has a house that's smaller than 2,000 square feet, it's a little bit less than that. But yes, ma'am, probably a palatable course of action would be to increase fees by half of that amount 1 year, and then the second half take effect the second year is very much an option.
Is that your upper limit? What if you have a 5,000 square foot house?
Then
Would be over 15?
It would be over 15 a month total, but we're not talking substantial.
Okay.
We took the medium. And to be honest with you, the majority of our households fall into this category. It's in excess of.
And I think the point that, when you looked at those different, there are 3 fees that we charge, garbage, fire, and street. The street is the closest to covering our, there's a very little shortfall there, but we're paving about a third of what we ought to be paving.
Once every 82 years.
Yeah, and we ought to be once every 30 years or something like that.
Right. A good comparison, people have talked about Princeton, for example. We think Princeton, and I apologize, it's about $18, I think $18.95 a month for garbage fees, for example, for Princeton. We're charging $15 right now. And we haven't looked at these for years. And like I said, businesses have been making these things up, and not a popular subject, but we can't keep doing what we're doing, or we're not going to move forward as a city. The strategic piece being is when we try to use the hospital as an example. If you go talk to the CEO at the hospital, he'll tell you that he's having a hard time recruiting folks to come to our city. Because they come here, they see our streets, they see the condition of some of the vehicles. The image we're trying to present is just not there. We've got to take a long-term approach at this piece, and we can't keep chipping away and just staying steady state. We've got to get after our infrastructure. It's failing. We've got to get after our vehicles. They're in horrible conditions. And we also have an unusual terrain problem here. I will tell you that if you go and ask anybody with Lusk or Fly By Night whether they want to take over our garbage, it will destroy their equipment. They don't want to get anywhere near our terrain. So you can't use Princeton as a comparative city, because it's like the plains versus the Rockies, And so it is long overdue, and I know it's not popular, but it's the right move from a strategic standpoint of moving the city forward. Okay. The other two areas that I was to look at was building permits, and we're moving forward with that piece, of automating that piece. But business licenses are painful in this city, absolutely painful. You know, two businessmen up here, one of the first things that Chuck brought to my attention was, listen, you've got to make it easier for businesses to do business with the city, and one of them is these business licenses. Other cities, and we've looked at other cities, have consolidated their business license into a general business license. We have a myriad of business licenses that I think at one point in time they may have been looked at as a revenue stream. And that's not the intent, and that's not what those fees were put in place for. It's an accounting tool, is what it is. And right now, it is painful for businesses to do it. The money that we're receiving for business license is very minimal in nature, and it's painful for businesses to do business with the city with our license process. And so our recommendation is to come forth with much like, and I think we used Wheeling as our example, that came with a consolidated business license, a general business license for the majority of categories, with the exception of a few. There's when you start getting into gaming and alcohol and the vendors that are itinerant vendors. And I'm a Ball State guy. That meant guys that come and sell their ware and don't pay B&O. That's how we take care of those. There's a couple of those that fall into those categories, but not the long list of categories that we've got. And then automate that process. So our recommendation as your board employees is to come forth with an ordinance that consolidates the majority of those business licenses into a general category, and with a few other categories, and streamline our processes. And I'll open it up there for comments.
Well, just a general comment, and sort of it goes along with the city fees, and then with this is that businesses do carry a large part of the load for our city's budget. And anything we can do within the city to make that easier for businesses to do business is going to do nothing but benefit the citizens long term. So, you know, I think this two sort of play together to some extent.
Any comments from the treasurer or the lawyer?
Sir, I have a question. I didn't hear anything about the groundbreaking for the dog park.
Don't be bringing up those contentious issues right now.
I'd like to hear something about that.
Let me finish this up, and I'll answer your question if I could, Mr. Hancock. That'd be great. With your permission, I'd like to move forward with that. And I'd also like to make available, Josh and Brian and Kelly did a great job of, I'm not a smart guy, of taking all of this data and we've done the analysis on it, and we've presented it in a pictochart type of representation that, no kidding, tells you the so what, gives you the details behind what we're trying to get after. And here's what I think the city owes, and it's my responsibility to do this, is when we adjust these fees, I owe recommendations back to the board, a menu of options saying, okay, with this increased revenue, here are the most critical things we must get after from a city standpoint for our safety, health and welfare, and economic development, if you will. And just a couple of things. I'll give you an example. So by raising it $15 per household, so we said if we doubled, if we went 1 year $750, next year $750, but $15 gives you about, doesn't give you about, $780,000 additional in revenue for the city to go after things like, it costs $320,000 to mill and pave a mile of street. It costs $500,000 for a new fire truck. each sidewalk, for a 4-foot sidewalk, paved or demolished and constructed to a depth of 5 inches is about $15 a foot. And then and I'm just throwing out some examples, and then our police and fire pensions, and this is not a Bluefield issue, this is a state issue, are massively underfunded. These are those catastrophic things that we need to get after, and we owe that back to the public to say, we adjusted these fees by X amount, and here is what we've done each year with it. We owe that back to the public. I think that's the transparency, not that we're not raising by any means your whopping board salaries of $172 or whatever it is a month. And we're not out being frivolous with it. It's very tangible, transparent fixes inside the city. So that's sort of how I would, so with that, looking for approval to move forward and bring forth ordinances over the next couple of months to arrive at 1 July.
I move we,
Do we need a motion for that, Brian?
we need direction on to present the ordinance.
I think that, is there any objection to that?
No.
So I would encourage you to move forward with that, and good work.
I know that was painful for everybody, but this is sort of the sausage making and stuff that goes on in a lot of these business, in a lot of the meetings that we do at 9 o'clock. Everybody's open to and welcome to. And the last piece, Mr. Hancock, you asked about the dog park piece. So right now, you can go online, and we are looking for donations to fund the dog park. I am working the final details on fencing, lighting. AEP still owes me some marking of utilities before we can start digging. That's an old school that used to be up there and stuff like that. So there's a lot of prep work that goes into that. So when is it started? It started. You just don't physically see the construction going on until all of the background work, if you will, goes. But once it does start, it'll go pretty quickly, to be honest with you. So we're very, very excited on it. We do have some modifications. It was brought up with a playground, which we're pretty excited about putting up there. And so yeah, it's and it received, believe it or not, more favorable comments than those that were vocal against it. It's been pretty positive so far. So, and did you want to make a donation? Is that what you want?
Well, I can.
Okay.
The reason I asked that question because I've been telling people it's going to be the middle of this month, middle of April. So look like that might pass, so I'm going to have to tell them something else now.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to get up there when it's so wet either, because we don't want to tear up all of the grass that we've got up there. I'm also waiting for a very cool new vehicle. Our skid loader is very important to the construction of that, so I can do save a lot of cost by doing it in-house. And so that's one of the other pieces as well that we're waiting on. So,
I'm satisfied.
anyway, but thanks for bringing up that issue.
I'm satisfied. That's it. You have nothing to worry about.
Anything else?
That's all I've got.
Let me ask you a question. With respect to the scheduling of work up there on the dog park, I'd suggest that first thing to be done is put up a fence on the adjacent border to Rock Ridge, where I think it's a 5 or 6 foot drop along the stone wall. I'm just scared to death some kid's gonna go riding a bicycle over there. So
The fencing will go pretty quickly. Yeah, we can get that up there once we get it laid out. And stuff.
I suggest that be a priority.
I don't want to put the fence up yet until we've dug the utilities for electrical and water.
Sure.
Each of the small and large dog parks will have a water feature for the dogs to drink, obviously, and then we want security lighting that goes on. And I'm going to put that underground first before we put the fencing up.
Okay.
I'm not an engineer, but I did sleep at a Holiday Express once.
Moving on to public comments, and thank you, Dane. Art, you're our sole participant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Very briefly this evening, I had a couple of questions. First, I wanted to express my appreciation to Ms. Smith and Ms. Light. They attended our Downtown Neighborhood Association meeting, and we certainly did appreciate it. We appreciated their input in it too, so thank you, ladies. Come back. And continuing on,
It's making it sound like us guys don't do anything.
I'm not gonna touch that line.
We didn't say that, did we, Barbara?
Oh, I didn't say that either, Mr. Mayor. But if you want to bring it up, continuing on, in regard to the fees that Mr. Rideout just talked about, I heard a figure of $336 per year per household for a fee. How many households do we have?
Based on the average.
It varies for each of those three things because there's different factors that go into that. But on average, it's around 5,000, 5,200.
5,200
Somewhere in there.
households.
That's about how many bills go out here on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
That's business and
That's
residential.
business and, well, we've got, what, 300 businesses? 900?
I'm not sure.
We got 900
I don't feel
businesses.
comfortable giving a figure that I'm not sure of.
I was just trying to get some sort of handle there on the average fees. Now, you mentioned entry into business in Bluefield. That brings up a subject very dear to my heart, the manual for businesses to come into town. Have we completed that?
Yeah, the manual is complete. We've not done a slick printing of it, but the manual is complete. We're actually going to review it in the next month and just see if there's any updates and changes to make for next year.
It's on the website, or no, you haven't got it?
Yes, it should be on the website. If it's not, it will be this afternoon. Yeah.
All right, and skateboard park. So we mentioned the dog park. And in conjunction with that, I asked the board a couple of meetings ago to consider a skateboard park. And I think our city manager may have thought something about it, but I guess my question is, can we, or should we advance the notion of a skateboard park, which we've tried to do for several years?
I will tell you, it's not a dead issue. Matter of fact, I took it back to Charles, and Charles is doing some research. But first of all, I'm all about other people's money. So we're going to see if we can't find some grants and stuff out there and stuff. But we've got a couple of ideas that we're looking at, to be honest with you. One of the things that we were looking at is an indoor skate park. Look outside right now. A lot of the Bluefield weather is it's raining and stuff like that, and a place for the teens and stuff like that to go. And so he's doing some research into possibly the use of our old transit facility for an possible indoor skate park. Which is great about those skate parks is that you can move the obstacles around. So if we ever find in the future to do something else with our regional transit facility buildings, we could move those skateboard park obstacles to another location pretty easily, type of thing. But that's one of the ideas we're looking at right now. So let us flesh that thing out. It's not going to happen overnight. And he's got some other ideas that would be in conjunction with that skate park that would make it more of a destination for the city. So that's about the best update I've got right now.
I just didn't want to get lost in the shuffle.
Nope, we're on it.
Now, in closing, I want to remind everyone that the Ridge Runner is running again in City Park, and we ran last weekend. It was great. Well, one day it was kind of chilly, but the next day it was very good, and it'll be running every weekend from now until the end of summer on Saturday and Sunday from 12 until 6 p.m. And it is also available for rental from people who would like to rent for the day. Thank you, guys.
Lori told me that those 2 days on the Ridge Runner, over 380 folks per day that were on there, which is phenomenal.
And it was a soft opening. We didn't announce it or anything. Opened the Ridge Runner, so it was really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Moving on to our action items. The next item on our list, as we already did the proclamation from Bluefield State College, is first reading. I'll read the title of the ordinance and then let Dane give a little background on that. An ordinance providing for a traffic pattern change on Rockbridge Street from two-way to one-way from Wythe Avenue to East River Avenue.
Thank you. This is one of those, one of the things that the board has me look at, obviously, as we drive around districts, looking at things, and it became very apparent based upon this year's snow clearing operations and stuff that Rockbridge is just one of those streets inside the city that is just too narrow, and based upon how the houses are configured and the unavailability to park cars off the street because driveways don't exist, it's a safety issue. And we personally witnessed it both with snow, took the city engineer out, took the police chief out, took the fire chief out, and they all arrived at the same conclusion that we were unable to get not only garbage trucks up there, fire vehicles, any type of emergency response vehicles based upon the number that are up there. The solution is, and we've talked with, we've sent 2 notices out to residents, written notices. We've talked to them in person. We even have a city employee that lives on the street. The question I asked the city employee was, do you feel comfortable that the city has communicated the changing of the one-way street and has received enough input back from the citizens? And she says more than just make the decision. And we're like, okay, got it. So the point being is to make it, and this was, we based the direction of flow based upon input from the residents themselves, based upon winter conditions, to be honest with you. They all park on one side of the street, on the north side of the street during the winter, and they park facing west. And so that's the direction which we took. The majority of the residents wanted to have it. And so I feel very comfortable bringing this to the board, that we've researched it, we brought all the right professionals in on it, and from a safety standpoint, that we make that a one-way street from Wythe to East River and parking only on the north side of the street.
Do I have a motion to approve that first reading?
So moved.
I have a motion to approve the ordinance regarding traffic flow on Rockbridge Street. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the first reading is approved. The next 2 items on our agenda are our treasurer, and the first one is the monthly financial report.
What I presented to you earlier in the day was the financial summary for March. That is, of course, the 9th month of the fiscal year. We're rapidly approaching the end of the year. The revenue collected for the year to date through March 31st is $7,031,000, which is 86% of what we have projected at this point. Expenditures total of just a little over $7 million, which is 69% of what we had projected. The month-to-date revenue for the month of March only was $427,686, and expenditures for the month of March only were $812,097. We kind of covered some of the expenditures that occurred during the month during the pre-meeting or the work session, and there were no other questions. I would present that for your approval.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll motion that we accept the report from the treasurer.
We have a motion to approve the monthly financial report. Any further discussion? I do have one question. It's probably more towards Dane, but generally we have paving in our budget, and that's at the beginning of our fiscal year. We put that off, so we still have that to pay, but it also needs to be completed before the, what's the status of that? Is it something that we're rebidding, or is it?
No, the bid stays in place. Last year I halted the paving based on the weather got bad, and so we're hoping here in the next. We were told that we think the weather's participating, that the paving factories are going to kick back open, and the first paving is going to kick off, and please let Mr. Wilkinson know that it will be Commerce Street that we will be paving first, milling and paving, and get after that. We will execute this year's paving before July 1st, as long as we don't get another snowstorm. And then we will execute FY15-16's paving plan as weather permits. So.
All right, any other discussion?
I just have one comment. With the law that was passed at the state level, I guess effective yesterday, that's something we should
Prevailing
consider.
wage.
We asked that question, yeah.
Yeah, we actually checked into that. And any contract that was already in place.
And we entered a contract, or did
Yes.
That was my understanding.
Yes, we have entered into a contract. So, yeah, we went looking for the savings as well.
Yeah,
and
the
we
new
fell
law
short.
addressed that. Any contract that was in place would still be obligated under the prevailing wage.
I might add that the new rates won't be announced until the 1st of July. Right now, the existing rates are in
This
effect.
contract was below the $500,000 cap, but we entered into, and they actually did some paving on this contract, so we've already started a little bit of it, and we too were wanting to go back and see if we couldn't get a better rate. But the next year's paving, which is good, we'll get more feet for the same amount of money. It's a good news story.
We have a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the monthly financial report's approved.
Great.
And next item.
As has become practice, I have provided you with a list of accounts. This time it has increased from approximately 50 to 76 accounts of folks that we need to turn over to collection for non-payment of their various fees or things that they owe the city. And I, like I say, presented this to you earlier and would ask for your approval to submit these to our collection.
I move we submit these to this list for collection.
Have a motion to submit the delinquent accounts to collections. Any further discussion?
Okay. Could I ask a question? Once they're submitted for collection, do they come out of our accounts receivable? And at that point in time, there's some, they're not there anymore?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and those accounts are approved for submission to collection. That concludes our action items, and Ellen, how about we start with you?
Oh, goodness, got me on the spot there. Well, I am very pleased at all the new positions that we have, the new people we have in all our outstanding positions, the new police officers, the new one today, the new ones we presented a few weeks ago, the promotions, Charles Rattlehuber. Charles, if you'd have put that E in there and made it look more German, I could have done Rattlehuber better. Thank you, but that's okay. We've got a great team going here. We're making progress. I'm thrilled. I think a lot of people around the city are thrilled at the progress we're making these days. And so, except for the rain, it looks like a great day. Let's see, what's 32 years ago today, I was in a much different position, so I'm much happier. I was in labor 32 years ago today, so I'm much happier, much happier today. So, great group of people to be with, not doctors in the delivery room. So, I'm pleased as punch that all the progress that's being made and the great team we're putting together here. Thank you. That's all my big mouth will have to say today.
Chuck?
Chuck said it best.
Well, Mayor Cole, I know how you feel when somebody steals your thunder, because she just pretty much said everything I was going to say. Except for in labor.
You were in labor
32 years.
Oh, gosh, I never knew.
Except for that.
Call the
He was
national.
laboring 32 years ago.
Put that on the AP.
Yeah, yeah.
National Enquirer's gonna
Please
pick it
strike
up.
that. Please strike that.
You stepped right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back to you if you think of something. Mike?
Just wanted to remind you all of the things that you might find on the city's website. And since we're talking about city fees and the city's financial picture, there is a article on MindMixer entitled Bluefield's Financial Picture. Do you feel that you fully understand the city of Bluefield's financial picture and report? I would encourage you to look at that and look at other pieces of information, particularly when you're talking about these, or you're concerned about these city fees. They're somewhat complicated, but we've tried to reduce them down to the basic arithmetic.
I guess, Mike, just one thing to follow up with that is we did take away the vehicle fire fee. And that was a reduction.
Yeah.
Barbara?
First, I'd like to say thanks for having the town hall meeting at Mount Zion. We enjoyed having you there. And for the fees, let's all remember, those fees are not for part of Bluefield. It's for all of us. It's for all of us to pay our fees so that Bluefield can shine. And thanks for your report. Today is the day that they will lay to rest Elsie Sims, the late Herb Sims' wife. And that funeral is at 2 o'clock at Westminster. So again, if you happen to see the two children, Steve and LaTanya, please address them. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick things. Somebody had mentioned the Mountain Festival, maybe it was during Charles. The Mountain Festival has traditionally been Memorial Weekend. Just kind of a heads up, it's going to be pushed forward to the week after Memorial Weekend. I don't know exactly what the dates are, but so anyway, just something to keep in mind. Our next meeting is the second meeting of the month, and it will be at noon as opposed to 6 o'clock. So, which both our meetings are at noon. I just wanted to make you aware of that. It'll also be Student Government Day. Is that correct? And I think last year, Pete, I think you commented on our Student Government Day last year. I think it was a really great opportunity. It was really interactive. We let the kids be a part of a regular board meeting and actually, do some of the things that we typically do in a real meeting. Oddly enough, my daughter texted me a little while ago, who's a senior, and says, they asked me if I want to be mayor, is that okay? And I thought, yeah, that would be very cool. So that may or may not be the case, but anyway, it is fun to have the kids involved, and last year was a great Student Government Day, and we hope to build on that. So that meeting will be at noon. It was good to have a nice crowd out today. Thank you all.
Our next meeting is actually Friday.
That's right.
We have a meeting Friday, and then we have another meeting next Tuesday.
The next regular meeting is what you're referring to.
Right.
We have a
What's
special-
What's the time of the meeting on Friday?
Noon.
It'll be posted later today.
And then we have a meeting to lay the levy next Tuesday at noon, the 21st.
So
We
it's
have
next-
meetings, just be here for noon, maybe one of these days. If we raise your fees enough, we can serve lunch at this meeting. Art will cook.
All right, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
You do.
Motion to adjourn, any objections? Hearing none? Meeting's adjourned.